Welcome back to the fifth and final episode of this dragged out canopy build. In this one we're pretty much putting it all back together for the final time since it's a dodgy paint job. So for the three people that watch this, enjoy. Before I start putting everything back in, I think I just want to go around with the T-Rex and seal all around the flat bar. Another thing I did, before I put it down, I glued the mounting rubber on the angle line for all the mounts, just so when it's time to put on the tub, they won't move because they're all solid and glued down. So I'll begin making the world's biggest silicone mess and see how it goes. I think I've gone around every nook and cranny and sealed it all up now. I've about 4 minutes experience using a caulking gun, so that just means, given the perfect scenario, I can lay an alright bead of silicone. But if I'm slightly uncomfortable or I bump something, it ends up turning out like this, just one big mess. I do end up making a mess. What I like to do is I just wet my finger with wax and grease remover, and then you can sort of smooth it off. Doing that, your finger doesn't really get dirty, and once you smooth it off and take your finger away, it doesn't really spike up. If you do that on wet silicone or like fresh silicone that you just laid, it tends to like spike up or blob up sort of thing. It's now day 48,002. Silicone's all dry and now it's time to put the carpet in. I reckon it'll be too hard to paint the floor in glue and then chuck the carpet on all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the whole lot of carpet in, fold one half over, glue the floor, and then fold it back over, and then do the same to the other side. Next thing to do is glue these bits of wood into the back. Just need to screw the mounts back on the drawer and then that can be bolted up. Sides in and now it's pretty conk, but I have a problem now. I did have bolts that I used for the test run of this drawer before I painted it all, but now I have no clue where I've put it, and yeah, now I can't really put the other side on. Spent the past hour trying to find these bolts, but they just don't exist, so I'm gonna call it a night and get some tomorrow. Alright, it's now the next night and I've got more bolts, so now I can start bolting everything together. And no doubt, because I've got these new bolts, I'll find the old ones in 2 seconds. Second wall's all bolted up, so that means I can attach this handle to the little latchy things. I think it's the prettiest, and I don't think it works the best, but it does actually work. I completely forgot about this black sheet of aluminium, but that can probably go on now. Every surface that's going to be glued, I'll just give it a quick prep wash. Ideally, every surface you want to be gluing, I think you actually have to be like bare metal, but for what this is, just a little aluminium panel, I don't think it's going to matter. What it looks like once it's all done. I was scared that the glue that I put on was gonna push it out a little bit, but it's actually not too bad around the whole thing. My plan was to do the doors and the roof now, but I think my plans have changed and I think I want to mount this first. I just bought a cheap King's control box to just fit in that section there. One, because it's cheap and it's just all a bunch of wires, so it can't be that bad. And two, there's not a lot of control boxes with the dimensions to fit in that little area. I've bought 2 quick charger ports. I don't know how much quicker they're going to be, but I think I want to replace 2 of them out with quick charger ports. So I may as well do all this while it's not mounted up and hard to get to. And when I decide which way I'm going to put it, I'm going to mount it up and then just probably drill a hole from the bottom up to run the wires through, just to go to one of these Anderson plugs. And then once that's mounted up, I think I can actually get started on the doors. Before pulling this apart, I thought these 2 Anderson plugs were input plugs, or 1 input, 1 output. Turns out they're both output plugs. So when I'm mounted up in the canopy, I'm going to have to run 2 wires through one of these grommets to connect to these 2 terminals. Turns out I'm the dumbest dude on the planet. Found all the bolts that I was looking for. So instead of actually replacing 2 of these ports with a quick charger port, I'm actually just going to drill 2 new holes around this sort of area. Then I can actually mount these on. I'll do some rough measuring and then come in with this small drill and then come in with this big dog. The diameter of this is like 28 mil, so this is only inch. So I'm going to go in with this and then I'll come in with a file or something and file them out to the right size. What I'm going to do next is actually take this Anderson plug completely away, use these wires to supply the power to the 2 USB ports, and then I'll move this Anderson plug to the bottom facing that way, so I can still use power out from that Anderson plug. And then I'll put a 3rd Anderson plug facing down, and that can be my supply in. I'll just have to make some wires up for that. Before I actually mount the control panel to the wood, I want to actually drill the hole for the power wires to go through. So I'm just going to use this, whatever it is, 22mm hole saw, drill somewhere around there, and then I can put the control panel wherever it needs to go to suit that. That's how it looks all mounted up, so I don't think it looks half bad. And I like how the wires just go straight up into the control panel and don't zigzag and go everywhere. The wires are making it look a bit pregnant, but that doesn't matter. Also, once it is on the car, I will have to pull all that apart because I will have lights and things that I want to run off it. I did want the control box as far over to the right as I could, only because I want this section for something. I don't know what, but if an idea comes, then yeah, there's free space to do whatever I want there. I'll have to cut these wires down, but these are the 2 wires that are supplying the control box. Once it's on the car, I'll neaten all that up and should be good. First of all, I'll run a bead of silicone along the door, then I'll rivet the hinge on, and then we can stick the actual door on. now all works. What I ended up doing was this latch actually came with a different sized thing, which was actually too short, but I put like 40 washers behind it and it spaced it out enough to actually clear this. So it does actually work now. So you can sort of see what it's going to look like just from that door. There's only one thing left to do, and that's to put the roof on. And then I can call it a canopy. I have a fat mate coming to help me put this on. So yeah, hopefully it goes well. So Mitch and I ended up getting a bit carried away and ended up putting the canopy on the tub after fitting the roof. I went for a gloss black, which I regret. In person it's very shiny and doesn't match the car. It also brings out all the imperfections on the canopy. At the moment it's very dad spec, but I reckon once I put my 33s back on, it should look a lot better. Considering I can only fit a couple of grapes in the canopy, I'm pretty happy with how the inside of it turned out. Now that the canopy is all bolted up, the next thing to do is put the rooftop tent on. This is the new Motop 135 Plus. I've never had anything this luxury before, so I'm keen to have a fat snooze in it. But before we chuck it on, I'll put all the brackets on first while they're easier to get to.
I'm hoping the bolts line up. Oh! No! You're dumb. You're mega dumb.
Well, only put one on then. Who invented that idea?
Where's your brain? What? Did you not make it wide enough for the fucking... Oh, you bloody...
After getting bashed by everyone I know, we eventually got the rooftop tent mounted on the car. My original idea of bolting the rooftop through the canopy rails wasn't going to work, so instead we clamped it down with the plates you get with the rooftop. We still had minor issues doing that because I didn't make the canopy rails tall enough, so we had to cut down the bolts to make it work.
The thing I'm going to try to do is the lighting inside the canopy. Bought these kick-ass lights for the canopy, and because they're on sale, but there's a couple of problems. They're not that bright. I have these King's ones and they're like 12 times brighter. Also, these only come with 4 of them, and I have 8 of the King's ones in total, so I think I'm just going to use the King's ones. The only bad thing about the King's ones is they don't have the amber lighting where the kick-ass ones do. My plan is I'm probably only going to use 3 of those King's lights, so one in this section, one in this section, and one in this section. With the lights, I was originally thinking that I'd just solder all the lights together sort of thing and run the wires through this gap. But then I realised if it's all one bit, then I'm not going to be able to feed the lights through or whatever if I want to take them out. Or I'd have to try somehow solder all the way in there, and I don't really want to do that. What my new plan is I'm going to just use crimps for right after the lights, and then sort of measure up what this is all going to be, and then pretty much make a loom for the lights. Now that I have the wire cut to the length that I want, I'm just going to put some crimps on one end, just the spade terminals. But I won't do anything with this end yet because this end's going to go in the control box. So once I crimp these, I'm going to just roughly feed it into the canopy and then mark out where I'm going to strip the wires sort of in the center somewhere and towards the control box more, and that'll be for the other lights. That's where I'm going to join the wires into. So I'll strip the wire down and yeah, join them up. Alright, I don't know if you can see it, but I've stripped each wire down, ready for soldering. I don't know if there's a proper way to do it, but this is the way I've done it. Only a problem I can see with what I've done is you can't get heat shrink on each individual wire. So I'm just going to wrap some tape around one wire and then put one big heat shrink around the whole thing. So now I'm just gonna cut these ends off and then crimp spade terminals on, and yeah, we should be right. Alright, all the wires are crimped up on the lights, so it should just be a matter of sticking the lights in the canopy, running the wire, and hooking this up to the power supply. My original plan was to use T-Rex to just glue them on the roof, but I found some of this double-sided tape that I had, so I think I'm going to try out this to stick it on the roof. Just before I put them on, I actually trimmed them up a bit, make it look a bit neater inside. Once again, my phone's about to die, so while I'm pulling the control panel apart, I'm actually charging my phone and filming at the same time. So you're going to see a cord in the way. But deal with it. Whoever designed this canopy can go die. Well, not sure if you can see properly, but all I need to do now is get the earth wire, put a eye crimp on it and put it on the bus bar, and then get the positive terminal, put a spade crimp on it, and put it on whichever switch I want to put it on. And then I should have lights. Here's the quick charger port, and I went up about 6% in like 4 minutes after disconnect the power so I can start crimping and doing whatever. Wiring's all mounted up, so it should just be a matter of putting the power to the lights and they should light up.
I'm pretty happy with how the lighting turned out. The camera actually makes it look darker than it actually is.
Alright, none of this is final, but this is sort of the setup that we come up with. So all these boxes and drawers are just from Kmart, just bought a bunch of them and hope to make something work out of them. We still have a couple of weeks before the trip if I want to change anything around. So sort of what my idea is I'm going to have a table underneath the awning or whatever, and then this is sort of going to be the cooking slash pantry and stuff like that. And on this side it's just going to be the bigger cooking stuff and just general storage. And in the center I think I'm just going to put like a toolkit and maybe some recovery gear, something like that in there. So yeah, none of this is final, but I think just with a bit of trial and error we'll figure something out.
Now that I've finished the canopy, I made up a quick water tank and pump setup. I also chucked my 33s back on, which made it look a lot nicer. Alright, there it is, all finished and ready to go bush. I'm glad it's finally over because I'm sick of editing these canopy videos and really want to do something different. If you've watched all the videos on this canopy build, then there must be something wrong with you, or you just must be really bored. But I do appreciate it. Hopefully the next video isn't too far away. So, yeah, there.